Great good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful, Tuesday? Is it Tuesday already? Tuesday, July 22nd. My Cordaro watch tells me that it is 9:11 and 19 seconds. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he. Broadcasting today from the United States of America. I guarantee it because we have an administration and a presidency that actually loves the American people. It's also the place for the brave. Like veterans we salute today, thanks to our man John Basiliga and one of his great companies, Serenity Care. Like Howard Gray, Albert Butch Ives, Madison Township, Edward Hafner, Oliphant, Francis Craig, formerly of Peckville, William Mensch, Nescapec, and John Lanning, Bloomsburg. Veterans we lost this year, but celebrate today thanks to John. The United States of America, the country founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our incredible founding fathers, that the government is not, shall not be, cannot be our parent, our guide, our direction, our salvation. Not any of these things, but is nothing more than a necessary evil we require to organize and protect society. The United States of America, the country where for the first time in human history, freedom was declared to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. Freedom is not something that can be parceled out to groups. It is not something that can be controlled by government or government officials, because our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press. If they use it to lie, so be it. They're free to do so, and we're free to ignore them. Now, armed with these freedoms, and this is the key, only because they had them, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, rejects, and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. We pledge that the Bob Cordaro Show will always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so, we gavel to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that we will provide a sanctuary of sanity for you for the balance of this morning. And also sending out a cautionary. Although we love you, this is not a safe harbor for stupidity. We will not suffer fools gladly. We can't. And and I say this, I don't say it in a pithy way. We don't have time for silliness. We don't have time to pretend, Hunter Biden's views are normal, and he's a normal guy, and Joe Biden wasn't addled completely, and he wasn't unqualified when he got elected. No, we don't have time for that. Things that we already know, we move on from, right? Hey, I saw FHL sent me a video. I was up in the air, and my man Mark Mayer sends me all kinds of great stuff from New York City. But I was up in the air. Well, we went. Now, it is anybody but Mamdani. I agree with that sentiment. And we're gonna talk, not today, but we're gonna talk with Bo Dietl soon about his PAC. He started a PAC, anybody but Mamdani. And the fool is over in Uganda now. What is he, pretending he's black? I mean, dear Lord. It's really, these people, by the way, a word that is now officially overused, performative. And what that means to me is that this is an act. It's put a lot simpler. So this clown has his act with his fakes, and it is a fake smile. I saw him use that fake smile, Mamdani, when he was dodging a question. And then I said, okay, this is fake. Oh, he could put it on and he could turn it on and off like a light bulb, but it's fake. This man is seething with rage despite being, and there's so many people with privilege who seethe with rage. Look at Hunter Biden yesterday. I don't think we're going to play anything from Hunter today. I heard, I mean, there's just, these Bidens are so profoundly mediocre. Like, just zero ability. And to play Hunter Biden would be to elevate an abject idiot to a place he doesn't belong, which is part of the national dialogue. Other than to make fun of him or point out how disgraceful the Bidens are, he doesn't have any value. He doesn't bring anything to the table. And by the way, likewise, with a somewhat beloved figure, Bernie. Now, Bernie, he's a complete fool and a complete hypocrite. Well, that was a comedian, by the way, in the third piece we played. So you go Mamdani, you go AOC, you go Bernie Sanders, who, they got along swimmingly. And you have some truly fake hypocrites, and they're trying to tell you how to live. They're uncomfortable because of their own insecurities on how people live. Like, they don't want you living that way. Hey, Bulldog, did I gavel to order? I think I did, didn't I? Yeah, Bulldog says yes. Well, why that came to my mind at that moment, I don't know. I've got some, so today I had a peach yesterday. I'm allergic to peaches. I'm allergic to anything with a pit in it. So, yesterday's banana was not good. And this is not the fault of the store. It's just the way it is. Not Cutie's fault. The bananas look beautiful. Now, the one I had yesterday was awful. The peach I had was not good, and I start feeling the itchy eyes and throat and everything when I was eating it. And if it was great, I would have soldiered on. But it wasn't good enough, so I threw it away after eating only a little bit of it. Yeah, so I got to tell you, these people are fake phonies, some of them to the point of disgust, which I would say Mamdani follows and fits that bill. Certainly Hunter Biden does. Oh, my. I mean, like, literally, what does anybody... So let me get back to my original point, because we've got to go hear from our sponsors. FHL, I'm repeating something, but FHL sent me this video. Now, this homeless man, he's speaking, and where Curtis Leawood goes, he goes to these, like Penn Central and public places, and he'll have an event, and he's speaking, and this homeless guy gets in front of him, and he starts to heckle, basically. His back is to Curtis, and he's just disrupting the whole thing. The humanity and the courtesy that Curtis Sliwa showed to this homeless man, because he asked him, he says, I forget how it came out. The guy mentioned it first, maybe that he'd been in and out of mental institutions. And most politicians getting interrupted in the middle, they would just be vicious, or they'd have their people grab the guy and tear him away. Curtis came around, talked to him like a human being, put his arm around him, and said, "You come stand with us. That's why I'm running for mayor." I got tears in my eyes. I think I'm all in, because think of it. And this matters to us. Please know that it does. The mayor of New York. The current mayor, Eric Adams, has been horrendous. He only came around to get a pardon and to have the prosecution stop. He came around to somewhat normal positions. He hasn't changed anything. He's not qualified to be mayor. He doesn't, well, maybe he loves New York City in his own way. Mamdani is a true existential danger to New York City as we know it. I now love Curtis Sliwa. He's my man for mayor of New York. We'll talk. That's why we'll have to get Bo on to talk about all that. Because everybody's hesitating. They say he can't win. Well, to hell with that. Yes, he can. He showed me more humanity than any one of these left-wing idiots has ever demonstrated in dealing with that homeless guy at his event. You got to look for this. I'm going to try to show you where it is. Here, I think it's under amazing. Watch an amazing moment on YouTube. It's called Watch an Amazing Moment on YouTube. It's Curtis Sliwa. When you see it, if you don't love him after that, well, you've got no heart. We'll take a break and be back. Murph tells us this date, 1963, the Angels released their hit, My Boyfriend's Back. And, of course, Abe Lincoln, freeing the slaves, he brought it to his cabinet, the Emancipation Proclamation. Bob Cordaro back with you on WILK and the eponymous program. So I tried what was it? I think an apricot. Cutie gave me one. Anything with a pit in it, I'm allergic, and I'm feeling itching in my ears already. I ate most of it. It wasn't great enough to finish, but I ate most of it. My man Rich McHale checking in. He says, morning, Bob, just an observation. I've noticed social media is embracing the Stephen Colbert story as big news, but ignores the biggest story, the fact that Obama was the catalyst in a treasonous attack on the presidency during Trump's first term. I said this yesterday, Rich. It was absolutely stunning to me. One of the trolls is writing in, as they usually do with their inane nonsense. And I said, isn't it amazing that you don't care? Because somehow it fits whatever your idiotic agenda is. You don't care that the intelligence agencies and the very presidency was used to undermine a president. It's really remarkable. It's a scandal of gargantuan proportions. And you will not see it in the left stream media. You just won't see it. Now, I want to point out another, the lack of thinking by the left and by the trolls. One of the listeners, and we love you, I promise we do, but you just addled. You're Biden-esque. Do you remember when Trump told a heckler to get out, and then he told security to get them out and rough him up? Well, first of all, he didn't say that, but okay. And then they say, you're such a hypocrite. Because I'm praising, first of all, you don't know. I want you to go to a dictionary and look up the word hypocrite. That's number one, okay? That's the first part of your education. Part number two is, I've never discussed Donald Trump or that issue. Ever. Not ever. I've never played a clip of it, never laughed about it, never discussed it. So there is strike two against you. Strike three. This man was emotionally disturbed. He wasn't intentionally interrupting. He didn't have the state of mind to do so. And see, you didn't even look at the clip from YouTube before you opened your stupid mouth or your text. Stop. Can't you stop? Seriously. These left-wing goofballs cannot stop. Why? Like, you hear a word, and you run off into the... That's why Stephen Colbert is probably one of your idols, is getting canceled. So you don't know what hypocrite means, and I'm begging you to look it up so that you're better educated next time. Whether you agree with me or not, you don't know what a hypocrite means. You don't know what it means. Second of all, how you manufacture, because I like Trump, that I somehow either supported or made some kind of statement about Trump saying, get him out of here, which I never did. And number three, you didn't know that this man was emotionally disturbed, in and out of mental hospitals, and that is why he deserved Curtis Sliwa to treat him with compassion, which Sliwa did. Yeah. Anyway, it's just sad. The trolls. Well, enough of them. We don't have time to suffer foolishness. We just don't. We don't have time. We do it when it's illustrative of the larger difficulty you have with TDS or otherwise, left-wing thinking. But, man. All right, 9:32:55 on my Picardo watch. We'll take a break, come back, Veterans Tribute, weather, and more. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you by Super Patriot John Basiliga. And one of his companies we're going to feature today, Serenity Care. Serenity Care is a personal care community with 4 locations: Mid-Valley, Old Forge, Wyoming, Kingston. They have dementia care units at Mid-Valley and Kingston locations, completely renovated and redone and accepting patients, all 4 locations. If you've got a senior you love, if you're looking for some place to be because you need help, check out Serenity Care. Beautiful, bright, good food, and compassion galore. A mission statement to take care of our seniors who deserve it. Howard Gray. He passed away June 18th. He was from Harvey's Lake. He was tragically preceded in death by his beloved only son, Howard. He's survived by his wife, Dorothy Dot Gray, many other family members, including 3 granddaughters and 2 great-grandsons. Howard grew up at Harvey's Lake, attended Lake Elementary and Lake Noxon High School and West Side Tech, graduating in 1960. He grew up on Perigo Street at the lake, Hanson's Amusement Park, building forts in the woods. I mean, yeah. Howard was drafted in the U.S. Army and sent to Vietnam, where he was stationed at Cam Ranh Bay. After returning from the war, he married his first wife, Peggy Shaver, and their son, Howard Jr., was born in 1967. A hard worker, a skilled mechanic. He enjoyed building things. One of his favorite hobbies was restoring old vehicles, such as his prized 1937 Ford pickup truck. He moved to California and married Dorothy Price Budner and studied to be a specialized Porsche Audi mechanic. Howard and Dot also lived for several years in New Mexico and then made a final decision to move to Kentucky. Howard Gray. Wow. Sneeze. Albert Butch Ives. He died June 25th at age 93. He was from Madison Township. He was the widower of his wife, Layla Bortree. And the couple were married for 69 years when she passed in 2024. Butch was born in Madison Township. Graduate of Moscow High School. He served us in the U.S. Army during the Korean War. He retired in 1995, and during his career was a sales and training representative for Bear Automotive Equipment. Member of the Madisonville Christian Church and a 50-year member of the Moscow Lodge of the Masons. Avid gardener. He survived by his children, his grandchild, great-grandchildren, and many other family members. Albert Butch Ives. Our great veterans this hour brought to you by John Basiliga and Serenity Care. Storm Tracker 16 forecast for meteorologist Anthony Bordenero. Today, mostly sunny, high near 80. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 58. Wednesday, mostly sunny, high 85. Thursday, mostly sunny and milder. That may be hotter, high near 90. And then I guess it gets hotter from there. This date, 1967, Murph tells us the Doors performed their hit Light My Fire on American Bandstand. And that was George Carlin, of course, before that. Bob Cordaro here on the opponent's program, WILK. Well, Rich from West Pittston texts in. He says, hi, Bob, LTS. LTS back at you, Rich. He says, the idea for Bacardo time checks. Use phrases such as the Bacardo Watch Club for common sense time is. Maybe use another phrase. Make America safe again, etc. Just an idea. And Rich is going fishing now. Rich, I hope you're taking us with you. You have a great day too, my friend. That's great. Not bad ideas. But here's the deal. Bacardo's is a watch store, but it is an incredible jewelry store, and we don't want to overshadow that. So we're saying Bacardo watch, but Bacardo Jewelers watch time. And I didn't mention it this hour yet, but they've got Breitling, Oris, Longines, Michelle, Shinola, Luminox, Swiss Army, and Seiko. So they're more than qualified to tell us what time it is. In fact, Bulldog, when we get Alex Bacardo on this week, we're going to play Does Anybody Really Know What Time It Is by Chicago, okay? That'll be his theme song. Yeah. Guys, when somebody says, Tom from Dallas says, how many times is this now that Democrats weaponize the government against Trump? I've lost count. Yep. And they go on with this. They go on with this. And I don't know, for those of you, you've got me confused, that are still voting Democrat and you're Dummycrats. Because they've got nothing to offer. Maybe some local candidates. But see, then, just for example, your state reps and state senators, they caucus with Democrats who are lunatics. And then except for some issues, like we properly praised Marty Flynn, state senator, for voting against them, the lunatic left Democrat Party, by saying, hey, girls can't be in boys' locker room, or boys can't be in girls' locker rooms, and competing against girls in sports. Common sense. That occasionally breaks out. But as far as the Democrat caucuses in Harrisburg and Washington, they're insane. They're truly insane. They're in on all of this. I don't know. What is this devotion? Now, just for example, this complete idiot, narcissist crackhead, Hunter, comes out and lights everybody up. And by the way, in many ways, they deserve to be lit up. George Clooney, what a phony. All of that stuff. Yeah, James Carville, what? He's a goofball. But, I mean, these were people he loved not long ago. These were people who covered up for him not long ago. And please don't tell me that he's not doing this on behalf of his father, or as we say in Dunmore, fatter. Please don't tell me he's not doing it on Joe Biden's behalf and on the family's behalf. Hunter picks up the mantle where when Bo passed away. Wow. He's a disgraceful human being. This is the left for you. This is the Democrat Party for you. Somebody says, how about when you do the Bacardo time? It's since the Bacardos have Shinola watches, so the Democrats don't know spit from Shinola watch time. Yeah. That's a good idea. All right, I don't want to drag them into this mess, though. I don't want to. They're trying to sell jewelry and watches, and they're a great family. I don't need to drag them into our mess. It's ours, and we've got to clean it up. All right, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We will return. You gotta love that song. You gotta love the sentiment. You gotta love John Lennon. He and Yoko Ono. Murph says this date, 1971. They started recording a promotional video for their hit, Imagine, but they forgot about evil, didn't they? You can't forget about evil. Like it exists. It's real. And somebody's got to stand up to it. Locally, it's got to be the cops. Nationally and internationally, it's got to be our military. And they all better be fully trained, fully prepared, and ready to put down vicious evil which exists among us and will never go away. That's the insane part about the Biden administration and the Democrat left-wing idiots importing up to 20 million people into the country without vetting them. It's literally insane. And subjecting the American people to this, not just for their wages, not just for the fentanyl that killed hundreds of thousands of Americans. That's why I won't quarrel with Mother Teresa. I'll quibble with her. Don't forget about evil. You just can't ignore it. By the way, my man Gary Duncan, he emailed me in. He said, our mutual friend, Fran Kranick, is retiring Friday from the University of Scranton. How great is that? I went to grade school with Francis X. Kranick, friend of the Kranick family. I'm so proud of him. I'm very, very happy for him. That's good stuff. He paid his dues at the U. So good for you, Francis X. And we're gonna have he'll have a bourbon and a cigar, and I'll have probably a scotch and a cigar. We'll do that together to celebrate. I look forward to it. Somebody says, Bob, first off, LTS. And the listener continues, how many Democrats would you say actually think Trump is doing a good job? It's so hard to tell. Now, if you have them alone and they're not surrounded by people who, that are political officials or whatever, I'd say you're better than 50%. It's all common sense. You may not like the style within which Trump does it. You might not like the braggadocio that is part of his deal. But how do you argue with the policies? They're inarguable. That's why it just frosts me when the trolls or other people who are just dummycrats for whatever reason are arguing about his policies. Please tell me which one, and we'll talk about it. And I'll talk you off the ledge of your TDS. No, so many normal people I know have Trump derangement syndrome. And they just fly off the handle. They don't listen. They just lose it. It's scary. I don't understand it. I don't know why one person could get to. Again, they're smart enough, and many of them even intelligent, to understand and separate policy from personality. And policy is the be-all and end-all. Mondami's got a great fake personality, for example. AOC has a great fake personality, and she's beautiful-looking girl. And Bernie Sanders, he's everybody's crazy uncle. But they're insane. They're literally insane, and everything they want to put into place will harm the vast majority of people. Now, we'll never harm them because they're on the top of their own self-constructed pyramid. So anyway, well, speaking of, and we won't embellish, but my Picardo Jewelers, your Breitling, Oris, Longines, Michelle, Shinola, Luminox, Swiss Army, and Seiko watch store tells me the time is 10:03, which means it's way past news time. Let's go to the news. We'll return. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Great good morning, everyone. My Picardo Jewelers watch tells me it's 10:10 a.m. here in the great Northeast this beautiful Tuesday, July 22nd, year of our Lord 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values. And with the help of our man, John Basiliga, and one of his great companies, Serenity Care, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like the veterans we've lost this year from this area, but celebrate this day, like Albert Butch Ives, Madison Township, Howard Gray, Harvey's Lake, Francis Craig, his nickname was Stony, late of Binghamton, Endicott, but he was from Archbald and Peckville. Edward Hafner, Oliphant, but he was a Jesupian. William Mensch, Nescapac, and John Lanning, Bloomsburg. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. And how do we continue it? Well, first we gavel back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense. I heard that news story about this band coming in. Low Cut Connie. So they're left-wing dope balls. I mean, okay. I don't know. The leader of the band, who is an idiot, by the way. He's a complete ass. They said it was a cowardly choice, and it probably was. But here's what's missed. It was a cowardly choice to cancel. It was a dumb choice to book them. Come on, you got to know who these bands are you're booking in the first place. So there's no victory there for anybody. Because again, I don't want my tax dollars going to idiots like Low Cut Connie to come in here and pitch their lies. And it's tax dollars that they're appearing for. And it's on public property. So the original choice was stupid, and hopefully this mistake turns out to be a lesson learned. Once they're booked, I would not have canceled them, though, to be honest. I would not cancel them. But that was the choice. It's the incompetence we've seen out of Luzerne County government under this county council form of governance, and it continues. By the way, on a different note, a front page of the Scranton Times-Tribune. Is that what it's called now? I don't even know. It's such an awful paper. Yeah, it's the Times-Tribune. But see, it's like a stopped clock. It is right at least once an hour. And they have a great article. Robert Tomkevich is the reporter about Tom Culkin. Now, we'll celebrate him in the future on a Veterans Tribute. He had a tough, quick battle with cancer. He died at age 77. So many of us knew him as a Scranton cop. So many of us knew him as just a great guy. And 40-year member of the Scranton Police. I mean, I apologize, 32 years with the Scranton Police. He was one of those guys, he made you smile the minute you saw him. And you know what? It was his mission in life, because it was his house was on Music Street, and it was a humble little house. It had this incredible backyard. I mean, it was gorgeous, and that was all year round. But every holiday, particularly Christmas, it was the place to go. And we lost him at 77, and he would have done it for many more years. And hopefully someone can pick up the mantle. It's not going to be easy. But Tom Culkin passed away at age 77, and a loss for all of us. Somebody takes in, what is exactly wrong with inclusion and diversity? I mean, I'm also a Republican, but I don't understand what majority Republicans take issue with that. Well, here's what inclusion and diversity is for them. Exclusion and monotheism in their sick, twisted, left-wing religion. It has nothing to do with, oh, let's get an African-American in here or a Mexican or what American or whatever. Has nothing to do with that. Please, you can't tell me you're a Republican and you don't know what they turned inclusion and diversity into. Literally, they turned it into exclusion and monotheism. And you, come on. Please don't tell me you don't know that. Please don't tell me. And this idiot band, again, I would have let them perform once we screwed up in the first place. But they've got anti-Trump, they've got derangement syndrome. And we're going to pay tax dollars for these idiots to come in here? It was a huge mistake. Again, I would have let them perform. Like they pulled out of a performance at the John F. Kennedy Center in D.C. because they don't like Trump and he's now running the show over there. Like, they're nuts. They're goofballs. Please. So there's no defense of them. And of course they're going to try to put it in some positive context for themselves. I'm also a Republican. I don't know. What am I missing here? What am I missing? What are you missing here? You don't know what DEI is? It's exclusion of everybody we don't like. And it's a monotheism, belief in the one God of government. That's what it is. And it's dangerous, by the way, pretty damn dangerous. Somebody says, when Rockin' the River was announced back in April, my sister Lisa and I looked up the band. We were shocked because they hardly wear clothes on stage and appear to be a gay band, which, who cares? Their shows are obviously not for families. I even said the mayor needs to look into this. Well, you were right. Somebody says definitely exclusion and monotheism. I mean, look at the things they've done since 2020 and all the changes and cancellations and things, but they want to put it under inclusion. Remember what the left does, Mr. or Mrs. Republican. They do the exact opposite of what they say they're doing, and they do the exact opposite of that which they tell you to do. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is everything but. It's the exact opposite. I don't know. I just wanted to trigger you. Our Republican friends, I just wanted to trigger you to explain that more because I actually agree with you on DEI. But that's what it is. Thank you. You could just tell. You don't have to trigger me and get me in a lather. Just tell me what you want me to say. Listen, I tell people, I say, I'm your sock puppet here. I'll do what you want. Oh, Lord. Somebody says, gotta wonder, Bob, will they still get some form of payment anyway? Just like Dems. They get paid for not working. LOL. Yeah. Oh, Lordy. Well, that's our deal. Let's take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. I want to hear from our great sponsors. Well, then we've got a little history. We've got a little music. And then you at 570-883-0098. And you don't have to trigger me. I do that on my own. We'll be back. Van Morrison, Murph tells us this date, 1973. He played at Birmingham Town Hall in England. Brown-eyed girl Murph chose. And before that, the Milwaukee police arresting, this date, 1991, Jeffrey Dahmer. He later confessed to murdering 17 men and boys, and he himself was murdered in prison. I don't know. I mean, how do you get justice for what that sick, evil person did? Part of me says I'm happy he was killed by his fellow prisoners, which that's their job. But the other half of me says, man, he should have suffered in somehow for forever. Well, he is now, I'm sure. Somebody texts in, diversity should be focused on thoughts and ideas, not race and gender. Inclusion can be more broad and focus on demographics and differences that are more emotional or defined. Well, less emotional, by the way. So I give you the opposite on that. Less emotional. Like, what is your socioeconomic background? What was your family life? What were your opportunities? And first and foremost, though, can you do the job? Can you do it well? DEI became a complete joke, and it was a theft from a lot of people, a theft of their futures, you name it. It's a disgrace. Look at anything the left touches, they destroy. And just like these clowns from this band, as somebody points out, I think the real question is if their shows are that absurd, then why were they contracted to play in a free public outdoor family-style event in the first place? Yes, that's the point. So find out how you screwed up. Most of these people are volunteers, so let's find out how you screwed up, and then you could prevent it in the future. Look this is for a diverse audience. It's free entertainment. They could come into an arena or some other venue and perform, and that's fine. No matter what they say, no matter what they do. But when the taxpayers are paying for it and it's on public property, well, then there needs to be scrutiny. And they messed up, and now let's fix it for next year. So, yeah. But again, don't give the left any credit. Don't give today's Democrat Party any credit. They are wrong about everything, and intentionally so. Yeah, they got dummycrat followers, and they got dumb people agreeing with them. I mean, look at the oligarch tour. They don't even care. The people who would go to these arenas, they don't even care that the idiots are flying around private jets. Well, you don't think I should wait in line? Yeah, we do, Mr. Socialist. That's like Bernie would have been just like the Soviets, who we admired so much in their communist days. Remember the old Soviet Union in Moscow? All of the key members of the Politburo and the power structure had their own driving lane. Everybody else had to schlep in the traffic, but not them. Well, there's Bernie. See, this is human nature. You give someone complete control through government, there's nobody to stop them. And Bernie proved he's of the same ilk, the same phoniness. Yeah, I'm for the people. Yeah. You're so for the people, and you're so for the Green New Deal. And AOC's on the same planes. She's taking jets around the country and trying to tell you we shouldn't have any airlines. Like, these people are insane. Do not give them any credit for common sense or humanity or knowing how you should live. They're the most awful people on the planet, and they own the Democrat Party. And they're carping at each other because they're temporarily out of power. So you have, a narcissist drug addict, sick brain, like Hunter Biden, criticizing the people who finally got caught covering up for his addled father. And again, he can't help but lie. Well, he took an Ambien. No, he was home from his foreign trips for 10 days prior to the debate. Yeah, he was still jet lagged, and that's what he said. Oh, no, he'd been traveling all over the world at all these miles, and he was jet lagged, and they gave him Ambien to sleep, and it messed him up. Like, they'll lie with such alacrity. It is stunning, but it has to be. See, lack of truth, ignorance of facts, completely disposing of reality is who they are. That's why they're wrong about everything. Sad. And like Lucy with the football, we've got a certain percentage of the population falling for it every time. Every time. All right. We got to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. My Picardo Jewelers watch tells me, and it actually says Picardo's on it, which is why, among the many reasons I love it, 10:32 and 22. We'll be back. That's the great Sam Elliott. And our veterans this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Brought to you by our friend John Basiliga. We're going to point out one of his great companies today, and that's Serenity Care. It's got the greatness and the value of all of his companies, anything he does. They've got 4 locations, Mid-Valley, Old Forge, Wyoming, Kingston. Personal care and dementia care, the dementia units in Mid-Valley and Kingston. All 4 personal care locations completely renovated. They are gorgeous. You will be proud to visit your family member there. You will know that they are taken care of. If that's where you decide to live, yeah. As good as it gets. Serenity Care, the gold standard for senior care in Northeast Pennsylvania. Francis Craig. His nickname was Stoney. He passed away in Binghamton, born in Peckville. 1961 graduate Archbald High School. He then graduated from Penn State University. He proudly served us in the U.S. Navy as a submariner on the USS Henry Clay. His nickname was Stoney. Stoney Craig worked as an accountant for Endicott Johnson Shoe Corporation for over 30 years and raised his family in Endwell, New York. He was a big part of the Maine Endwell community, whether it's St. Joseph's Catholic Church, the Girl Scouts, any number of organizations. He was also a member and kept his roots in Archbald, the Archbald Historical Society, the U.S. Sub-Veterans Organization, and Knights of Columbus Holy Family Council at St. Patrick's Church. Survived by his wife of 50 years, Judith. Her maiden name was Brink. Also survived by his daughters and grandchildren. He was buried out of St. Thomas Aquinas Church, Archbald, and in Fairview Memorial Park in Elmhurst. Francis Stoney Craig. Edward Hafner. He died June 22nd. He was 83. He was from Oliphant, formerly of Jessup. Born and raised and proudly lived most of his life in Jessup. He attended Jessup High School, the Green Wave, and was employed as a welder at Superior Door in Scranton and also at RCA. Charter member of the Consolidated Hunting Club and the Jessup Carbino Club. He served us as a member of the Army National Guard. He loved baseball and coaching. Survived by 2 daughters. Proud grandfather. Also survived by great-grandchildren. Sadly preceded in death by his son, Edward Jr. Edward Hafner. Our great veterans this hour brought to you by John Basiliga and Serenity Care. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Anthony Bordenaro. Today, mostly sunny, high near 80, the best day of the week. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 58. Wednesday, mostly sunny, 85. Thursday, mostly sunny and milder, but I wouldn't call it mild. High near 90, and I believe we're headed towards a heat wave on the weekend, so prepare yourself for that. I'll like it, and hopefully you will too. Who's on? Cheap Trick. They debuted on the charts with their first single, Surrender, Murph says. This date, 1978. And before that, from The Departed, Jack Nicholson and Leonardo DiCaprio in one of the great scenes from that movie. It's up in the pantheon of mobster movies. It really is. Somebody texts in, Bob AOC and Bernie Sanders are multimillionaires, but they're mad because they're not billionaires. That's what they're really upset about, not fooling anyone. You're right, who the true oligarchs are. And that's why we played the comedian who imitates Bernie perfectly, saying, no, we're against trillionaires. We're against trillionaires. What a bunch of goofballs. Man, these are leaders of the country. These are leaders of the Democrat Party. Man, that's just sick and diseased. Let's go to Max from Dixon City. Hi, Max. How are you, man?
Not too good. I think people really have to wake up and understand that with the illegals that are in this country that haven't been vetted, they brought in a lot of diseases that we haven't seen in the United States in over 100 years. Well, it's starting to hit home. I know of animal rescues that now have been possibly exposed to Brucella is one of them, bacterial disease that afflicts animals and it can be contracted to humans. There's a situation where there were a family evicted and they left behind an animal. I don't want to get too much in specifics, but we have to be aware that this is a reality now in our country. And these diseases aren't easily treated. Now, this in particular, 8-week regimen of doxycycline with another antibiotic. 8 weeks. So, this isn't Kansas anymore, to say.
Well, there's another one a friend of mine told me about yesterday. Candida auris.
Yeah.
It's a fungus that they don't know how to treat it, and it can almost always be deadly. So yeah, we're surrounded by this stuff. It is.
These are unvetted. No, just think of this for a moment, okay? Everybody went hog wild over COVID, right, and the vaccine. But yet at the same time, you had illegals coming over the borders, unvetted, untreated. We don't know who these people are or where, and they now have exposed not only our people but our animals to these diseases that we have never faced in America in well over a century, maybe ever.
Well, Max,
okay?
it proves, see, they're not serious about anything they say. The only thing they're serious about is their power and anything that enhances it. That's all they're serious about.
I mean, maybe if it hits home to them, if one of their children, one of their family members have been infected or been exposed, maybe it would start to resonate. But I don't know. These people are sociopaths. They only care about themselves. I don't know what else to say or do at this point because we are very unprepared. And this was a worry for me years ago. I said, well, it doesn't make sense. They're so worried about COVID. But these other diseases, tuberculosis is coming back now. I mean, these are more prevalent, pathogens that are now appearing. These are hard to treat.
Yeah.
And they're worried about COVID. It doesn't add up. There's just something missing. What does it all mean?
Common sense is missing, and nothing that doesn't fit their agenda and anything that's contrary to their agenda, which open borders, is their agenda. Anything
Yes.
that contradicts that it's just ignored or shouted down. That's the
So
left.
let me ask you a question. If the open borders, their policy, do you think that it was all about, just padding their pockets and having cheap labor, involving cheap labor in the United States? Or do you think there's something more sinister where they're bringing them in to kill us, by infection? Like back in the day, didn't they try to infect the Native Americans with laced blankets or something like that? I mean, there was some kind of weird stuff.
I don't see the James Bond villain here. What I see, though, is
Can't
people.
put it past them, though.
But I see people that don't care. And there are people within that, a subset of those, like a Bill Gates, who want the population drastically reduced. There is a subset within the left that believes that people are the source of all of our problems on the planet, and the less the better. So I'm not dismissing that because there are people who are that sick. But the open border, then, they've got followers who just go along with it. But remember, there's many reasons behind a complex and major decision like opening the borders that the Democrats believe in right now. And one of those, though, and probably the preeminent reason, although all the reasons you mentioned are part of it, is that they don't lose congressional and state house seats because of their horrible policies, which have everybody moving out of the places they govern.
This is unbelievable. It's just so unbelievable. People aren't even aware. It's all around us, but yet, we're not doing anything about it. And
they don't care about the side effects. They don't care. They didn't care about the fentanyl deaths at all. Never mentioned.
No, and there was a female judge that let this guy go who had fentanyl. He was, I forget her name, and the actual prosecutor appealed and got the injunction removed. Because the judge was just siding with this criminal because they have a tribalism involved. These judges are now looking at criminality by the seam of tribalism. So luckily that was overturned. They were going to let this drug dealer go because, the evidence you got illegally or something. It was in a storage unit.
The guy who just shot the CBP agent. I mean, how many times could you release somebody? And he's an illegal alien. These people are insane. Try not to give them any credit for being anything other than that.
No, I just want to pray for these people, these animal rescue groups that are now being exposed to these diseases that haven't been in our country. And I'm just hoping, these people are going to be okay. This could really hit home here.
I'm more confident with RFK in charge of HHS, but there's still a vast bureaucracy that doesn't care about the people they represent.
No, they do not.
Thanks, Max. Time for Bloomberg Money Minute. We'll be back after that. The Stones. Murph says this date, 1978. The Stones had the number 3 hit with that. Miss You. Mother Teresa for today, Saint Teresa. She says, be kind and merciful. No, let no one ever come to you without coming away better and happier. Be a living expression of God's kindness. Well, we try to be most of the time. Thank you, Mary Regina. But when we, you gotta call a spade a spade. By the way, our news, you really should sign up for this. It's really good news. Among the latest stories, Singer says politics behind Rockin' the River cancellation. Well, because you won't shut up about politics. Do you see that? He's saying politics. Well, that's what you do. You do politics inappropriately, so they had to cancel you once it was discovered who you are, what an idiot you are. Took a long time to find about how awful Colbert was. Now he's fired. By the way, I don't know. This story, I heard it. So I guess the Scranton cop fell asleep on duty. Was there dereliction of the duty involved? Or was the guy tired and he fell asleep? Like, let's get to the bottom of it in the right way. Like, come on. I've never fallen asleep during this show, but this is one of the easiest jobs there is. Now, give me a difficult job, I might fall asleep. Give me mandatory overtime, I might fall asleep. Let's not get crazy over this thing. Oh, the cop fell asleep. Put it in perspective here, and let's see what it's all about. All right. I got to read something on a FedEx driver talking about a lady that has 4 bull mastiffs that he delivers to. I'll do that after the news. But right now I want to go to Bill from Pittston. Hi, Bill.
How you doing, Bob?
Good, my man.
Yeah, I just called Colbert's CBS the comment line, and after much wrangling, but I got through to a person, and I said, he said, what's your beef? I said, I want to commend you for firing Colbert. I said, that's one of the best things you do. I said, I don't watch Colbert because he's not funny. I said, I'm usually watching Gutfeld. I said, he's a scream. I said,
well,
by the way,
Gutfeld's the best. He's the best. Somebody said what he said, Gutfeld said last night, and somebody texted in about it. I forgot to mention earlier. Gutfeld said, Hunter's so loyal to his family that he banged his late brother's wife and then made her a crack addict.
Yeah, that's great.
Amazing.
Well, anyway, I said in Jimmy Kimmel's face, I actually like Sheldon. I said, who knows, if you get someone decent on, maybe I'll swing back to CBS, but I doubt it.
You can't. Nobody's going to beat Gutfeld because he's actually funny, and he gets what he's doing. He understands there's self-awareness involved, which these idiots don't have.
Yeah, I'm going to see him at Allentown in September.
Well, yeah, he's worth it, I'm sure. I'm sure of it.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, before I signed off, I said, it kind of reminds me when you got rid of Letterman. You remember when he used to be funny back in the 70s? He hasn't been funny since. And the guy was laughing the entire time he was talking to me. So he said, thanks for calling.
Well, you let him know it, Bill. I love it. Thank you. Thank you, my man. We've got to go because as I look at my Picardo watch, it tells me it's 11:01:08, which means it's time for the news. And the Picardo Jewelers, it's your Breitling, Oris, Longines, Michelle, Shinola, Luminox, Swiss Army, and Seiko Watch Store. We'll be back after the news. Great good morning, everyone. My Picardo Jewelers watch tells me it's 11:08:29 here in the great Northeast this beautiful Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our man John Basiliga and one of his incredible companies, Serenity Care, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we lost this year but celebrate this day. Like Edward Hafner, Oliphant, but he was from Jessup. Francis Stoney Craig. He was from Elmira, but he was born Peckville and an Archbald native. Albert Butch Ives, Madison Township. Howard Gray, Harvey's Lake. William Mensch, Nescapec, and John Lanning, Bloomsburg. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising a sanctuary of sanity for all of you for the balance of this hour, when Hunter Biden and what he says is national news. It tells you this spokesman for the Democrat Party tells you all you need to know about the Democrat Party. Now, one of the things he said, he basically says, F you if you're upset about illegal immigration. How do you think your hotel room gets cleaned? Yeah, the one that you scummed up with your debauchery? You mean that hotel room? A-hole? Well, he's a disgusting human being. He really is. And see, here's what they miss every time. You had control of the presidency, the Senate, and the House. Now, with the presidency alone, you could have expanded legal immigration and put resources there. But that's not what they did. They wanted illegal immigration. They wanted people who were not acculturated to become Americans. They wanted people who would destroy and disrupt our economy. They wanted that. Otherwise, they would have said, you know what? We need more immigrants to clean our hotel rooms and to wash our dishes and put the food on our table. That's the lies they say. Well, then get more legal immigrants. What's wrong with that? The system's already in place. No, but they didn't want to. It's so important to remember, because, you know, you look at them, they're seemingly normal. Not Hunter Biden. I'm just talking about the others. And they're passionate, or appear to be passionate, about what they're saying. But each time they're ignoring fact, truth, and reality. The fact is, if you want immigration, which I do, you step up the process of legal immigration. You don't let illegal immigrants in by opening the border and not having vetted anybody vetted. See, they don't want legal immigration. They don't want these people to become Americans. They want to destroy the American culture. That's not an exaggeration. There's proof. You didn't hear this buffoon mention anything, or any of the buffoonish Democrats mention anything about, hey, we've got to step up legal immigration because we need more people like this. Because to become a legal immigrant, you have to be educated in the ways of this country. You have to understand a little bit about the Constitution, a little bit about our language. You have to be vetted. There's no reason to open the border like they did except to destroy the country. Oh, by the way, with the side benefit that places where the left rules, like Illinois and California, New Jersey and New York, don't lose congressional and state representation, because as ridiculous as it sounds and is, illegals are counted in the census for apportionment of congressional and state representative seats. That's what it was all about. They know they can't keep people in their districts because they suck. Frank from Harvey's Lake points out appropriately, I saw where the Hispanics are in an uproar over Hunter Biden's comments because Hunter thinks they're slaves and servants. Well, of course he would. The Bidens didn't even care if the dogs that they owned bit the crap out of Secret Service agents and other people working at the White House. These are elitist scumbags of zero ability, mediocre at their best. Hunter Biden, in part of the interview, said, my dad, they know better, like George Clooney knows better than my dad, who gave 52 years of his life. He was on the grift. You show me a lifetime politician, and I will tell you show you somebody that got as good as they gave, and probably better. Please. Don't tell me about how long somebody served in elected office. They took more than they gave. Certainly, Joe Biden did. I mean, give me the career politician who didn't get more than they gave. Not many. Not many. Unreal. Hey, let's go to Elle from Wayne County. How are you, Elle?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
Great.
Good. You started to talk about these Scranton policemen that fell asleep, but I didn't hear too many details about it, except the fact that he was found asleep. Now, can you give me some of the details on that? Are you aware of it?
I don't know all of the details. And I because I get so many emails, I already cleared it out of my email. I'll try to find it, but
well, I think everybody needs to take a step back.
Exactly.
You know,
I think why is it, other than for internal police reasons, why is it a big story? Well, somebody must have filmed it. You know. Well,
yeah, but there could be many reasons why that could have happened.
Yep.
And here's an example. I was working in a factory. That was one of my last jobs I did before I retired for the second time. And there was a girl that was very sick with diabetes. And she was trying this, trying that, trying this. And she was a thin girl. She didn't have a lot of extra meat on her. I'll just put it that way. And she was having a terrible time. So she was on this automatic pump. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. That was one of the things that they came out with before this last freestyle type of diabetes that they came out with. So she's on this automatic pump. And it wasn't, I didn't feel it was really working right for her. And I told her, I said, I think you need to go back to the doctor. They need to figure out what's going on, because I said, I don't think it's working the way maybe it's supposed to be working. Because I was pretty good friends with her, even though we worked there not that long, So long story short, back and forth, she started falling asleep at work. And it was because her sugar was so darn high. But you could fall asleep because your sugar is so darn low also.
Correct.
So anyway.
Your point and my point is this. Number one, is it or should it be a big deal? Probably not, but I'll wait and listen. Did he miss a call? Did he put anybody in danger? All of that. Otherwise, you slap them on the wrist and let's move on. That's my view.
Well, hopefully, since if they caught it on camera and they questioned him about it, whatever, hopefully he went to the physician, a doctor that day, because even one time I was falling asleep, and I said, my one boss came over to me and said, "Hey, you look like you're going to fall asleep." I said, I don't know why. I said, I know I have a doctor appointment tomorrow morning and I'm going because I was working an all-night shift. So I said, I have a doctor appointment the next, in the morning. So I'm going to the doctor's as soon as I get out of work and I'll find out. Well, here, my blood pressure was high because I worked in a factory and it could be like 100 degrees in there. And, you couldn't do anything about it. They had some fans here and there.
There could be lots of reasons, yes.
You just don't know.
My only cautionary, and we've got to go to break, but, El, my only cautionary for people is let's take a breath. Let's find out. Let the police actually find out what happened. And to me, the cop deserves the benefit of the doubt always.
Well, absolutely. They have such a stressful job.
Yep.
I mean, really. I mean, it could have been anything. Maybe he overdid it before his shift started. It could, maybe he got bad news. You never know. It could have,
anything could have happened. You're right. Hey, we got to go, El. Thank you, my darling. Always a pleasure. We'll take a break, hear from our great sponsors. We'll come back, a little history, a little music, and then you at 570-883-0098. Bob Seger. Murph tells us he moved up to number 4 this date in 1978 with that really good song. Still the same. And President Barack Obama saying the police acted stupidly in the arrest of prominent black scholar Henry Louis Gates Jr. Speaking without knowledge. And then he had to throw in, because he was the divider in chief, that they're disproportionately stopped. Well, did you address, while you were president, 8 years, why they were the disproportionate amount of, committed the disproportionate amount of crimes? Could we get to that problem, be honest, and then deal with it? No, let's blame the cops because that's easy. Yes, they're arrested disproportionately, but that's because they commit the disproportionate amount of crimes, not because they're black. And in the rare instances when it is because of their color or because they're Latino, then the cops got to get their wrist smacked. They've got to be punished. But that is so rare. But see, Obama knew his policies were not popular. They weren't working. That if he did what he really wanted to do, it'd be even worse. So he had to ignore that and divide people, making white people guilty to vote for him, despite the fact that he wasn't even black. He's half. That's what I said. The whole racial thing is a construct, meaning they made it up. And it was used, by the way, with great effect to keep African Americans down. By the way, who else did that? Light-skinned African Americans keeping dark-skinned African Americans down because they originated as the house slaves versus the field slaves. This is human nature. Discrimination is human nature. You just have to make sure in the United States that we dispensed with and destroyed any structural racism. And by golly, we did it. But then race baiters like Barack Obama and Michelle Obama came along and made it worse again because it benefited them. That's what they did. That's why Barack Obama was such a bad president. He was mediocre otherwise. But don't forget all the judges he left behind. Don't forget the incompetent and left-wing activist judges he left behind. Don't forget all the left-wing and activist bureaucrats he left behind. Don't forget that he's the guy who started the NGO and nonprofit groups taking $1 trillion a year of our tax dollars. Joe Biden merely accelerated that process. Somebody points it out. And see, these are the facts. Well, Barack, don't you want to get to the bottom of this? Black males make up 6% of the population and commit over half the murders in the country. By the way, mostly of other blacks and African Americans. Mostly of other people who are on the low end of the socioeconomic ladder and need help. That's who gets murdered. So what are we talking about here? Why can't we have an honest conversation, agree on the facts, the truth, and reality? That's the only way you'd have a chance to solve problems. By the way, almost never by government intervention. Government is such a blunt sword. It can only be used for things like Social Security. But then look at how they set it up. Rich people getting Social Security. Why? It's insane. They can't even do that right. And under Joe Biden, 2.3 million illegal aliens getting Social Security numbers. Social Security numbers being accumulated by the millions for people who are over 120 years old. Government doesn't do anything right, and then there's unintended consequences on top of that. I don't know. And they keep spouting the same lies. Barack Obama runs around spouting the same lies. Oh, telling the black African American and blacks, you better vote for our girl. Because she's black. Well, first of all, she was Jamaican and Indian. I don't get it. I don't get it, and so many people fall for it. Maybe we've turned the corner. By the way, and it's not a straight line. We might have turned the corner. Mamdani may be the example that makes a majority of us, a solid majority of us, get it. That we need to be based in truth, fact, and reality, or people will be hurt. People's lives will be reduced. Because these people aren't out to save anybody. They aren't out to help anybody. They're out to install an agenda. The people be damned. Nobody can be a communist or a socialist that has half a brain. It has failed everywhere it's tried and failed miserably. Death and destruction have followed. Razor says, you're such a racist, actually telling the truth about race and crime statistics. Again, unless you're grounded in fact, truth, and reality, you can't solve anything. And by the way, once the problem is acknowledged and the companion thought that government sucks at everything it does, we might get somewhere. Barack Obama set race relations in this country back God knows how many years. And Joe Biden made it even worse. Disgusting. I don't think I think I'd like Barack Obama. Joe Biden, he's a disgusting human being. He became a truly disgusting human being. And his progeny, Hunter, if it's possible, he's worse. All right. My Picardo Jewelers watch tells me it's 11:34 and 43. We'll be back with the Veterans Tribute. The great Sam Elliott, a veteran himself. Bob Cordaro. And our Veterans Tribute brought to you this hour and every hour, this day and every day, by a true patriot, John Basiliga. We highlight one of his companies today, and that is Serenity Care, the gold standard for senior care in Northeast Pennsylvania. 4 locations: Mid-Valley, Old Forge, Wyoming, Kingston. They've got dementia care units in their Mid-Valley and Kingston locations. Totally renovated. They're brand new. Can't get any better than Serenity Care. Check them out for your family member or yourself. William Mensch, Army veteran known as a playful jokester. He was 78 when we lost him July 1st. He was from Nescapek. Born in Bloomsburg, he served us in the U.S. Army, SP-4, during the Vietnam War. He was employed at Bloomsburg Mills. Member of Shiloh Alameda Bible Church. He enjoyed fishing and hunting, affectionately known as a playful jokester. Preceded in death by his wife of 41 years, the former Sharon Marie Sittler, who died in 2012. Tragically also preceded in death by a daughter, Nancy, and a son, Zachariah. Surviving are a son, William, 3 grandchildren, 6 siblings, and many other family members. William Mensch. John Lanning, longtime Central bus driver. He enjoyed genealogy. He was but 72 when he passed away June 19th. He was from Bloomsburg, right on the main drag, Lime Ridge. Born in Clearfield back in 53, he was a proud American who served in the U.S. Air Force from 75 to 79. Longtime bus driver for Central Columbia School District and a tour bus driver for Catawie's Coach Lines. Member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Berwick. His passion was taking pictures and genealogy. He loved to play Santa for families at Christmas. 4 children and other family members survive him. John Lanning. Our great veterans this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and Serenity Care. It is hard for me to do this weather after we talk about these great veterans. Wow. Storm Tracker 16 forecast meteorologist Anthony Bordenaro. Today, mostly sunny, high near 80. Tonight, partly cloudy, 58. Wednesday, mostly sunny, 85. Thursday, mostly sunny and milder, high near 90. So, Rick Davies. Murph tells us this date, 1944. The singer, songwriter, guitarist, and founder of the band Supertramp, born in Swindon, Wiltshire, England. He picked the logical song, which we love here. By the way, RW texted in, Obama sucked. Gave him the benefit of the doubt in the first term, but found out he was nothing but a race baiter. Well, not much more than that, unfortunately. And you know what? Because he's a henpecked husband. And his wife is an out-and-out racist. I've got to tell you, I think Obama's not a bad guy. And a lot of you may disagree on this. His wife is a savage. His wife is a savage, complete racist and America hater. And that's what drove him. Now, we talked to you in the first hour at the Open about losing Tom Culkin, the guy who did the Holiday House, 32-year Scranton policeman. And our man Wayne from Iden says he knew Tom Culkin. How are you, Wayne?
Yes, I did. Very good, Rob. Okay, yes, I did. We grew up together. We went to grade school together over in Nativity. Okay,
Wow.
we went to high school together with Scranton Tech, and we were I can't say best friends, but very close friends.
Yeah.
Over the years. Him and Joe Lafferty, who was also another policeman. We did a lot of crazy things together. Let's put it that way. we had a lot of fun though. If my mother ever knew what we did, she'd would have had a heart attack.
Well, Wayne, I said whenever I saw Tom Culkin, his face just made you want to have fun.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Irish
It's
as
quite the
Patty's
person.
pig. I mean, it was hilarious. He was just a
Yeah,
character.
oh yeah. He made you laugh every day of the week. You
Yeah.
couldn't help it. Yeah, that's the kind of guy he was. I just want to let you know that I grew up with him. Great guy. I didn't hear you talking about him, but a friend of mine told me that he heard you talking about him.
Yeah.
What a great guy. And his other buddy, Joe Lafferty, was a detective with the Stratton Police Force also.
And
I don't know if you knew Joe.
I think one of his, yes, I did. I think one of his sons is a cop too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. As far as I know.
Yeah.
I kind of lost touch with the family when I moved to
So
Mount
you
Cobb
grew
and
up
everything.
you grew up in Nativity.
Yes, I did.
That was a
Right
very
across from
Irish,
Nativity
very
Church.
Irish section of Scranton.
Oh yeah. Yes, it was. Yep. I had to get a permit to get in and out. I was foolish.
Oh Lord, that is great stuff. Thank you for calling in about Tom.
I
He's a
hope to be
very
able to make
special
that
guy.
viewing tomorrow.
Yeah, very
Hope to be able to
special
make
guy.
that viewing. Yeah. And you take care, and thanks for what you always do for our veterans. And on the Russiagate thing, I think there has to be an investigation into it because
Yeah.
look at all the taxpayers' money that was spent.
Well,
on
now we
investigation.
found out how the FBI conspired to throw out the Hillary investigation as well.
Yes,
No,
I know.
the corruption is deep.
Yeah, and the amount of money that it cost the American taxpayer, Bobby. Nobody
Yep.
looked at it that way.
Yep.
All these investigations, just the Mueller investigation, okay, the impeachment, everything else. Nobody looks at the money and especially Adam Schiff, what he cost us. Oh my God,
Insane.
he should be hung from the highest tree.
Yep, you
You know,
know it. You know it.
That's the way I look at it. Okay, you have a good day, my friend. And take
Always
care.
a pleasure, Wayne. Great to talk to you. Let's take this break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We will return. Who is this, Bulldog? Okay. It doesn't say it on my script. And remember, I'm like Ron Burgundy. I just read the teleprompter. This day, 1947. What's Don Henley, founder, drummer, elite songwriter, Murph says, and co-lead singer of the band The Eagles. He was also a solo artist of note. Texas. Dirty Laundry from 1982. Murph says it was the beginning of fake news. Yeah. And by the way, we're going to finish. I mean, why not? We're going to finish with Coldplay. Murph says they were in concert at Hordern Pavilion in Sydney, Australia. This date, 2003. 22 years before Kiss Cam. And Clocks is my favorite song that they have. I hope the guy who got caught cheating on his wife has a sense of humor. Because I used to tell people, they said, well, isn't it horrible you're in prison? I said, look, just because it happens to you doesn't mean it's not funny. I love this song, though. And that's what we'll finish with. By the way, Trump is meeting with someone called Bong Bong Marcos. He's the head of the Philippines. Now, the Marcos family, they looted that country. Remember Imelda Marcos with her thousands of pairs of shoes? I mean, just what? And now he's the leader. Maybe he's fine. I don't know. Maybe he got a hold of his mother's shoe collection and it financed his ascendance. You see these names resurface, and you just say, wow, people really don't pay attention when they vote, do they? By the way, because if they did, 90% of the people would vote against the Democrats. Hey, while we're doing this, I just want to mention, I got to mention our vets one more time, courtesy of our man John Basiliga and Serenity Care. Edward Hafner, Oliphant, but he was a Jesupian. Francis Stoney Craig, late of Elmira, but born Peckville, from Archbald. Albert Butch Ives, Madison Township. Howard Gray, Harvey's Lake. John Lanning, Bloomsburg. William Mensch, Nescapek. Thank you to them. Thank you to their families. Sue Henry Show next. Rob O'Donnell after that. But while I've got a little time, just some people, I did not get to their services because most of the time they're all one day anymore. And you miss it, you miss it. But a great guy by the name of Dick Walsh died right before his 92nd birthday. He was originally a Green Ridge guy, but he didn't know me from Adam, but he was always just nice to me and kind to anyone, a man of great accomplishment. My old neighbor and friend, Francis T. DeAndrea, his wife, who was a true sweetheart and very talented woman, Janet DeAndrea. She passed back on June 26th. And a buddy of mine, attorney Charlie Wittakonis. We were talking about him at Rags the other night because that was one of the places he would habituate. Charlie Wittakonis. Great, great people. As I said, when I go through the obits every day, at this age, 64, it gets you. It gets you. God bless to all and their families. So, my Bacardo Jewelers watch store, the Breitling, Oris, Longines, Michelle, Shinola, Luminox, Swiss Army, and Seiko watch store, in short, your watch store, Jefferson Avenue, downtown Scranton. It's on Spruce Street as well. Caddy corner from the Radisson. They tell me it's time. It's 11:59:35, which means we got to go, which means we have to gavel this meeting at the Club for Common Sense to a close, say adios, say have a great afternoon, and then the Bulldog, he moves on himself. So for now, we say goodbye. God willing, I'll be back with you tomorrow morning. Club for Common Sense adjourned.